a little Santa hat. I'm letting out the inner child because we're talking about children in this exercise. You're not going to need to write anything down right away unless you want to. Remember, you can always hit pause and write. This isn't necessarily a writing down kind of exercise. But I would like to invite you to bring to mind the children in your life, however many there are, whether you're your own children, your grandchildren, godchildren, nieces and nephews, whatever. Bring the children in your life to your mind now and consider these questions. For each name, for each child, what is their attitude about Christmas? Are they looking forward to it? Are they overwhelmed by it? Do they have an unrealistically large list? Do they get really annoyed if they don't get everything on their list? Are they trying to make sure they stay on the nice list and not wind up on the naughty list? What are the attitudes that your children have and the children in your life have about Christmas? If they're not the most positive, relax, because I think I'll be able to give you some ideas on how to help them have a positive attitude about it. Another question is, what kind of activities do your children participate in, and do you participate in with your children for the holidays? Do you bake cookies? Do you go to a special place to see the lights or anything like that? You know, what kind of things? And the activities that you do they connect to the Christmas story? Now, you'll notice we have a new decor again, and this is a nativity that my niece Kimberly made for me. Makes its appearance every year, and I absolutely love it. And one of the things I love most about it is that it reminds me that she took the time and the energy and the love to make it. So I have a very special Christmas gift that I can look at every year and remember her love. Nativity story is very important also, because this is one thing you want to make sure your kids understand. This is what the holiday is really about. Why? Not because you're going to be cramming religion down their throat, but because you want them to know that there is something greater than getting a boatload of toys. Oh yeah, I know that getting a boatload of toys sounds like the best thing in the world, but you know what? That's about as good as getting a great big old cookie jar full of cookies that you eat all at once, and it just doesn't do it. There's something missing. Cookies and toys, they should come, you know, not in too much abundance. And then we look at, you know, what is it that children want? What do they really want? I'm going to tell you some things. If you want to write them down, great. If you don't want to write them down, that's fine. But I do pray you take them into your heart, because what I'm going to share with you is very important. The first thing on that list is your time. Your children want your time. I know it's really, our lives are too busy. They're just too busy. We need to simplify, slow down, and give our kids, I gotta tell you, my youngest is over 40, and my oldest son is like, I don't know, 46 now? I can't believe it. He's gotten older than I am, you know? Those kids are going to grow up so fast. So especially if they're annoying you at the holidays, if they're running around and under your feet, and, you know, remember how fast they grow up. So take your time, give them your time, and love and enjoy them. Same thing is true for aunts and uncles and stuff like that. You can give your grandchildren some extra time when their parents are really busy, because they love your time too, and they love you too. And so be there, you know, be there for them the best that you can. Another thing that is very important to children that they want very much is spiritual roots. They want that connection to know that there is a greater good, in spite of what they hear on the news, in spite of any bully that might be bothering them in school, in spite of whatever is going on in the home, whether you're having strife, financial issues, whatever's going on, they need to know there is something greater. In Unity, we have an affirmation that is so powerful. It says, there is one presence and one power in the universe and in my life, God, the good, omnipotent, and I whose will for us is good and only good. Whether you say that or whether you make them up another prayer or affirmation, God loves me. God loves me in everything I do. God loves me every day. Very precious words to know. God is my help. God will help me. God is my guide. These are so important. Kids need these spiritual roots. And Christmas is a wonderful time to set them in place and to reinforce them every year. The next thing that our children want is unconditional love and acceptance. They want to know they are loved just the way they are. They are loved sometimes even if they're crabby. Oh, it's not that a parent won't, get frustrated or angry with a child, but to always know that they are loved in spite of any momentary issue that's going on. A child wants you to take time to be with them. A child wants your unconditional attention. When we're talking about time and attention, it means you're not distracted, you're not on the phone, you are not texting, you are not on the computer, you are not even at that point in time on the computer with them. Children need, time, just the two of you, undivided attention. Go for a walk, get out there in nature, something like that. Another thing that children want is for you to play with them. Now you can, if you have to, go on the computer and play with them, but most of us that were around before computers, we know a lot of things that you can actually do. No electricity required, no batteries required, nothing like that. Play with your children. Play with your grandchildren. Play with your nieces and nephews and godchildren and the friends, the children of your friends. One day, it was rainy. I was visiting my son Frank and his family, and it was rainy and there hadn't been a lot to do. We'd been to the store and we found a box with dividers in it that I had a brilliant idea and I had brought home. So we had this little box with the dividers, and we took newspaper and made newspaper balls. Seriously, I'm telling you something, this game stuck. We gave different compartments, different point values, and we picked up those little newspaper balls and we threw them. And you know what? The next time I went back, guess what? They wanted to play. They wanted to play the toss the newspaper ball in the box. See, it does not take a lot of money and everything to play with and entertain a child. There's another thing a child needs. A child needs for you to be their hero and role model. Because to the child, you are like God. And they will base a lot of their image of God on you and how you live and how you act. What do you think they're thinking when we say, "Our Father who art in heaven"? Our Father, so of course they're going to relate their parents to God. So keep thinking about that, that God loves me. God loves me just the way I am. My parents love me, and I can look up to my parents. You got a big role, but I got to tell you something. You can live up to it. It can be done. Now here's a really important one. You got to be able to laugh with your children. I'm not kidding. I'm old enough that I have got jokes that are so old that most people haven't heard them. And I love to tell them over and over, especially silly riddles. Kids love riddles. For example, if you were walking down the street and your toe fell off, what would you do? What would you do? You'd call a tow truck. That's a good one, and you have my permission to use it as widely as you wish. Did you know that children laugh about 400 times a day and adults laugh about 17 times a day? How would you like to be more on the laughing end of the equation? Don't you think your life will be happier and fuller? Jesus said that we should also laugh. I also think that when Jesus said that, he meant that we should expand our belief system, expand the wonder of God and the love of God. No, these are the things the kids really want, and they won't cost you a penny. Please remember that Christmas is for children, but it's not about overloading the tree with a million gifts. I did make that mistake. I inherited it from my parents who they came out of the Depression and they wanted to make sure we always had lots of toys. And underneath our tree was an array of toys that was just, tons. It would take us hours to do the unwrapping. You know what? Doesn't require that many. If your kids are getting the time, the undivided attention, the play, the laughter, the love, and acceptance. So if you want to take a little time now to reflect on your children and their relationship with Christmas and what you can do to enhance it, go ahead and do that right now, and I will see you for the next exercise in just a couple minutes.